County return to the Sky Bet Championship this Friday in a game at Ewood Park where they face Blackburn Rovers. Now, this is going to be a very, very interesting one for Derby County. Still missing some core elements to their squad for this championship season. Some players may come at a later date, some players may not come at all. Now, Derby County have fulfilled their backup or third goalkeeper role for the time being with Rohan Luthra, former Cardiff City goalkeeper. He's now joined Derby County on a one-year deal, and I'm going to be doing a full video later on today about why that deal is absolutely amazing for Derby County. You might not agree with me right now, but just wait until you watch that video. And to make sure you can watch that video, make sure you hit the subscribe button, turn on that notification bell, and smash the like button to make sure that my videos pop up in your suggested feed and for other people. Also, let me know your score predictions for this game on Friday night, tomorrow. It's going to be a very, very interesting one. I'm really interested to see what Paul Warne does do with his squad. Now, obviously, going into this game, there's going to be a lot of talk about the number 9 position. There's going to be a lot of talk about the goalkeeper position, because they're two positions for me that still need a lot of work at Derby County. Now, I think Josh Vickers is a more than competent goalkeeper at this level. I think he knows the coaching staff well. The coaching staff know him. And don't get me wrong, yes, he's had a few blunders in pre-season, but I don't think he's going to be our number 1 for the next 46 games. I personally believe that within the space of the next few weeks, I don't think he'll be our number 1 anymore. Now, the opportunity that Josh Vickers has, because we don't have that goalkeeper in, is he has the opportunity to make that number 1 shirt his own. So it is going to be really interesting to see how that obviously does develop over the course of the next few weeks. Obviously, we know the situation with Djurgården and Jacob Zetterstrom. It's a very, very intriguing one, which a lot of people don't understand. A lot of people think we're getting messed around, but I believe it's all part of the deal that we said he can go through the qualifying rounds if we get him a little bit cheaper. I believe that to be what the deal was. Now, there's nothing to suggest that. That's just my opinion on it, because there was reports of him being linked to like Wolves and Liverpool like a year ago, and now he's coming towards for practically half that price. So I believe there's some sort of agreement in there. I do think that I think maybe the Watford game might be a bit too early. Maybe the Bristol City game. All depends on how they get on tonight and next Thursday. But their replacement at Djurgården has now left his club. I believe it's a Saudi Arabian club he's just left. So he should be signed there anytime over the next few days, which will hopefully mean that he can be registered for the second leg, or if not, the next qualifying round. So obviously, the number 9 position, it's a position which a lot of people aren't entirely sure about, because we have James Collins, we have Jerry Yates, we have Dejon Brown, Connor Washington, and probably Caden Jackson. I think you can fit him in that position as well, but I just don't think we have a lot of quality there. I think Jerry Yates is an incredible player. I think he'll have a really good season for us. I don't particularly see Caden Jackson in that central role. I think he's going to be more effective out wide, pretty similar to Mendes Lang. Now, I can't see Connor Washington getting many minutes this season. I do think he'll be in and around it, because I think he and Collins are probably Paul Warne's standard setters. They know what the coaching staff want. They work hard on and off the pitch, and obviously that's massively important for a coaching staff. Now, obviously, we still want to get a number 9 in. Now, we're no further down the line based on Paul Warne's press conference yesterday, which is a bit of an interesting one, because we sort of need one quickly. And obviously a centre-half as well, no further down the line on that. Now, obviously, I've seen a few people mention some names about strikers. A common one that I've seen over the past few days is Tom Cannon from Leicester. I think, is it Leicester? Yeah, is it Leicester? But I can't see us being the ones to win that race. I think he'll end up at a team that are expected to do a little bit better, play a little bit sort of nicer football. Obviously, any Derby County fan will know that Paul Warne's style is not necessarily neat and tidy. It's I call it percentage football. You get yourself in high percentage areas to get high percentage chances, and you just hope you take them. It's as simple as that. You put the best possible players in the best possible areas. Like this weekend, a lot of people probably think, oh, we might play a back five, we might play a back four. In my opinion, I think we're going to go with a four. I have predicted my team. I'll show you that in just a minute. But it's one of those for me where I think that Paul Warne has a lot of thinking to do around this squad, because I think when it comes to a back five, I don't necessarily think we have the centre-backs to do it. I also don't think we have the forwards to do a 3-5-2 or a 3-4-3. And I'll get into that when I'm talking about the predicted team that I've gone with. But obviously, if we look towards Blackburn, obviously, they do have some really good players, and most notably, obviously, Sammie Szmodics. But judging by some comments made over the past few days, I don't think he's going to be involved. It sounds as if he hasn't trained much with them during pre-season. It sounds like he hasn't played much during pre-season, so that's going to be an interesting one. It's going to be interesting to see how John Eustace does line up without him. Obviously, when he ends up moving on, that's obviously going to be beneficial for Blackburn, and maybe they'll be able to spend some of that money. But if there's any Blackburn fans watching this, you can obviously let me know down in the comments if that would be the case. If Szmodics gets sold, will you be able to improve the squad? Because obviously that's what you'd want to do, isn't it? So if we now get into my predicted 11 for the game on Friday. Now, if you have not done so already, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below or in this top corner to stay tuned for all of my latest Derby County and EFL Championship and League One videos that are coming over the course of the upcoming season. Obviously, my Game Week 1 previews for both League One and the Championship are now out, so make sure you go and check them out and watch your specific club. So, here we have it then. This is my predicted team. Now, obviously, you'll notice that there's some player in the doubts and there's a couple of spots missing on both the bench and in right back. Now, Paul Warne has made it clear that Joe Ward is still a bit sore on his knee, so he most likely won't be available. Now, judging by the tweets from Dom Dietrich, and when I listened through his pre-match press conference, both Rams TV and BBC Radio Derby, there was no real word on Corey Blackett-Taylor. Now, I might have completely missed it, but I've got him down as a doubt for this upcoming game. He also mentioned that Ibu Adams and Ryan Nyambe haven't trained for a few days. Now, I think they'll train. They'll probably end up on the bench, but I also think that one of them could start. Obviously, as you can tell, the right back slot is free. And if we do obviously move over to that now, I think that if all those players that were in the doubt section are fit, I think Tyrese Forner would become unused. I think Nyambe would go into right back. I think Adams would obviously go onto the bench. But if we do go back to this initial slide, if Nyambe isn't fit, I think Wilson will play at right back. I think Jackson will probably go on the right and Collins through the middle. It's a bit of an interesting one for me, because for me, obviously, my ideal 11, I've gone with a back four. I think Paul Warne will go with a back four as well. And I think, obviously, we can't really go anybody else other than Vickers. There's an argument between Nyambe and Wilson at right back. Who do you want there? Now, I personally think that as we don't have a proper number 9, we need a bit more creativity up there, which I think Wilson offers. So I think you have to play both of them. Obviously, the number 9 position, you could toss a coin. It could go Collins, Brown, Washington, Jackson. They could all take it. So I've gone with Jackson. I just think we're going to be a team that plays on the counter-attack this season. We're going to be a team that sort of goes and sort of sits in, defends well, keeps the ball, like not necessarily keeps the ball, but when we get the ball in our defensive areas, it's going to be wide box. And if you've got a player like Jackson who has the pace and the ability to not just beat a man on the ball, but beat a man off the ball, I think it's massively important to have players like Mendez-Lang and Kane Wilson on those wide areas to put the ball into the box. I think obviously if you have Nyambe at right back, it's obviously you're a little bit more defensively solid. It could be a case where Wilson starts at right back and then moves forward as the game progresses and it stretches out a little bit. obviously depending on fitness levels and things like that. Now, I think left back really is toss of a coin between Callum Elder and Craig Forsyth. Obviously, I think Ben Osborne could play in there, but I think Osborne will go midfield, judging by the performance we saw the other day versus Real Valladolid. I thought the midfield three was massively impressive. I thought it really, really worked well with Kenzo sort of pushing higher, then dropping deeper, with Osborne then pushing higher. Ozo obviously taking his moments as well. But obviously going back to left-back slot, I really do think it's toss of a coin between Forsyth and Elder. I think Forsyth is more than capable of still playing at this level. I think it's just a case of what is Paul Warne going to want. I think if you play Forsyth, you probably need Wilson as the right back. If you play Elder, you probably need Nyambe as the right back, sort of to keep that sort of defensive solidity through the back four. Because obviously, if you put Nyambe in, you can turn it into a back three. Nat can come narrow if he needs to. Wilson can come narrow if he needs to, if you get my drift. And this is why I think it's going to be very interesting when we talk about formations and tactics and things like that. Because I think we've got the players to move between a 5 and a 4 throughout a game. I think we did it a lot last season and nobody sort of noticed. Now, I don't know if my necessarily background in analysis that I have is probably the reason why I noticed it, or maybe it's the reason why I went through that background. But last season there was many of occasions where we played Nyambe and Wilson on the right, and when we was out of possession, Nyambe would come really narrow and Wilson would drop in as a wing back. Now, a lot of people don't notice them sort of things, but I think it's something we've done often. And Paul Warne hasn't necessarily alluded to it, but he has obviously alluded to playing 5-4-1 or 5-3-2, things like that, throughout post-match press conferences. And for me, I think there's a possibility where if Nyambe's fit, we can play a back 5 and a back 4 at the same time, which will probably look like a 4 in possession, but will be a 5 out of possession if you really, really look into it. Now, obviously, it's going to be a very interesting game. And if you haven't done so already, make sure you've checked out my championship prediction video. Obviously, it's massively important this season to look through the championship with Derby County and all those other clubs in it. I've done my predictions video for Derby County's August fixtures. I've gone with a 1-1 draw for this one. I think it's going to be on edge. I think it's going to be a tight game. Both teams not wanting to lose, because I think both teams are expecting to sort of be down the bottom end of the table. So it's going to be interesting to see how obviously this one does go. Obviously, let me know your thoughts, predictions and team lineups down below. While you're down there, hit that subscribe button, turn on that notification bell and smash the like button, and I'll catch you in my next video. Make sure to go and find me on TikTok, pictured here, and Twitter, pictured here. These are the places where I'll keep you all up to date with all my upcoming videos and my thoughts and feelings around the Formula 1 and football weekend.